Selamat siang, teman-teman media partners. I would like to speak in Bahasa, and I'm accompanied by Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Industry and Trade Singapore. Dear Minister Gan, we just conclude our meeting of 6 bilateral economics groups, and I'm pleased that our bilateral economic cooperation is strong and more important, heading to the right direction. Meeting kali ini di beberapa area kerjasama seperti Special Economic Zone di Batam, Bintan, Karimun, kemudian investasi di Kendal Industrial Park, dan beberapa aktivitas tambahan seperti kerjasama antara Panbil dengan Galang dan juga dengan Sembawang Corporation Sepcorp. Dan 6 area selain BBK adalah terkait dengan investasi, manpower atau tenaga kerja, transportasi, agribisnis, dan tourism. Beberapa hal yang saya catat, kerjasama bersama di BBK di tahun 2025 investasinya sebesar 5,7 miliar US dollar, dan ini naik dibandingkan tahun sebelumnya. Dan perkembangan dari Batam Free Trade Zone itu bertambah dari 8 menjadi 22 pulau, dan juga Nongsa Digital Park juga akan terus dikembangkan untuk ekspansi. Demikian pula di investasi, Kendal Industrial Park akan diekspan additional 1.000 hektar dan juga akan dengan status Special Economic Zone. Di area green energy, kerjasama dari realisasi daripada salah satu program yang besar, yaitu 200 megawatt project di Sulawesi Tengah. Dan demikian pula juga dengan pengembangan green energy dari Batam, Bintan, Karimun. Dan dalam kerjasama di bidang tenaga kerja, pendalaman dari TechX program, yaitu Youth Mobility Program, yaitu Indonesia dan Singapura yang saling bertukar young people ataupun generasi muda untuk belajar digital talent, baik di Singapura dan di Jakarta, untuk mengimplementasikan daripada digital economy yang direncanakan tahun ini diselesaikan digital economic framework dalam ASEAN Summit. Dan tahun depan dalam kepemimpinan Singapura, kami berharap bahwa digital economy framework yang diusung diawali dalam ASEAN meeting di Jakarta, diharapkan nanti di Bali pada saat itu, dan diharapkan ini bisa terus dilanjutkan. Di sektor transportasi, kerjasama Singapura, terutama Singapura telah terbang ke 17 kota di Indonesia, termasuk rute yang baru dari Skut, yaitu ke Belitung dan Pontianak, dan juga kami mengapresiasi kerjasama Garuda dengan Singapore Airlines. On the agribusiness, program daripada roadmap 2026-2030 sekarang sudah dipersiapkan, dan ada 13 potensial kerjasama, termasuk di agriculture. Saat ini ada 13 anak muda Indonesia yang belajar di Singapura, terutama untuk agriculture yang menggunakan Internet of Things sama menggunakan drone, dan diharapkan ini akan menciptakan the new generation of innovator. Kemudian untuk tourism, 2,44 juta orang Indonesia setiap tahun ke Singapura, dan 1,5 juta orang Singapura berkunjung ke Indonesia. Jadi ini kerjasama yang baik, dan kami berharap ini akan terus ditingkatkan juga dengan MICE di sekitar Labuan Bajo dan kerjasama yang lain. Dan selain itu, DPM GAN dan saya menyambut tantangan daripada geopolitical yang sangat dinamis, unpredictable, dan juga uncertainty, namun kerjasama Indonesia dan Singapura diharapkan akan terus mendorong perkembangan daripada fundamental perekonomian kedua negara, dan juga terutama Indonesia dan Singapura tahun depan akan menandai 60 tahun bilateral relation, sehingga tentu berbagai isu ini kami akan angkat dan menjadi laporan kepada Pak Presiden Prabowo dan Deputi dan juga Perdana Menteri Singapura untuk leaders meeting diharapkan dalam waktu yang tidak terlalu lama. Terima kasih. Please, Excellency.
Thank you very much. I'm very happy to be here in Jakarta to attend the 16th Ministerial meeting on the 6WG, 6 working groups. Singapore and Indonesia share a long-standing and deep relationship built on mutual cooperation and mutual benefits. The annual meeting that we have today is a reflection of this long bilateral and strong bilateral relationship that we share. The global environment is changing very rapidly. Supply chains are shifting and trade patterns are changing and evolving. Geopolitical tension weighs heavily on business confidence. In this context, the bilateral relationship between Indonesia and Singapore takes on additional new significance. Our investments into Indonesia continues to be strong in 2025 with approximately $17.4 billion in FDI. Singapore remains committed to being a valuable and reliable partner of Indonesia. During the discussion, we agreed that we will strengthen cooperation in supply chain resilience. Both Singapore and Indonesia recognize that the resilient supply chain is important to keep trade flowing even during very extreme circumstances. I'm glad that we are now looking forward to strengthening our cooperation in this area and that both countries will be exploring different ways to complement and support one another. We also made meaningful progress across several areas. On investment, we discussed how we can facilitate and streamline businesses to operate across both countries, both borders, to ensure that the investment climate remained attractive for investors. Singapore and Indonesia have been working together to transform BBK, Batam, Bintang, and Karimun region into a vibrant digital hub. And we will jointly undertake a tech sector study to identify opportunities and develop concrete recommendations to develop BBK further. The Kendal Industrial Park, KIP, a flagship Singapore-Indonesia industrial collaboration, will also be expanding by an additional 1,000 hectares in its phase 2 development. And this will catalyze new investments, create new jobs, and spur economic growth in Central Java. In the green economy space, I'm encouraged by the progress we have made together. The Sembcorp PT Sumber Energy Surya Nusantara, or SENSA in short, this is a solar project that will be done. There will be one of Indonesia's largest utility-scale solar projects, featuring a 200 megawatt solar deployment and 80 megawatt-hour battery energy storage facility. The project is currently under construction and will be completed by next year. Singapore and Indonesia are also co-developing Indonesia's first biogas to biomethanol plant in North Sumatra through the CRECTEC and the Pertamina Biofuel Project. The Young Farmers Development Program, which many of you are aware of, is currently undergoing its first inaugural run in Singapore. This will deepen Singapore and Indonesia's cooperation in agri-tech. Singapore and Indonesia are well positioned to collaborate, whether on renewable energy or on the development of green ecosystems. The work we are doing together in this space is not just good for our two countries, but also contributes to the broader regional effort to grow sustainably. Taken together, today's outcomes reflect a partnership that's evolving with time, one that is responsive to new challenges and anchored in a shared vision for a growing, resilient, and sustainable region. I want to thank Minister Ayalangka and his team for hosting this meeting, as well as the warm hospitality that has been extended to me and my delegations, and the spirit of mutual cooperation that undergirds the discussion that we had this morning. Singapore looks forward to building on the progress we have made today and beyond for many more years to come. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Ada pertanyaan?
Does Indonesia's policy of centralizing all exports affect Singapore's interest in investing and trading with Indonesia? And also, the second part of the question, Indonesia wants to set up a financial center in Bali. Well, Singapore is known for being Asia's financial center. Perhaps, what does your country think of this plan, and also any interest for Singapore investments in Indonesia's financial center?
Well, I think I just take the first question first, and then I'll go on to the second question. With regard to export the policies of individual countries, I think the situation and the environment are different. Every country have their own concerns and their priorities. And Singapore will work together with Indonesia to ensure Indonesia continues to be an attractive investment destination for Singapore and our investors. And we'll continue to also work with Singapore businessmen to find a way to work with Indonesia to make sure that our exports to Indonesia and our access to Indonesia's exports will continue to flow freely. And that is one of the reasons why we have been discussing on this strengthening supply chain resilience between Singapore and Indonesia. On your second part about the financial center, I think the world is very big. I think financial centers are important for every country, and we'll look forward to working with Indonesia to develop the financial centers both in Indonesia and in Singapore. Singapore is a very small, open country. Our economy depends on the economy of the region. When the region is able to do well, Singapore's economy will do well. So it is also in our interest to make sure that Indonesia has a very strong financial center, very strong economic fundamentals. This will also drive Singapore's hub's status, being the business hub of this region. So I think it can be mutually beneficial if we are able to work together, like what we have discussed this morning under the 6WG cooperation.
Silakan, Mas. Ya, langsung aja.
I want to ask about, is there any discussion about the cross-border electricity export today? And I want to get the update about the cross-border electricity update between Indonesia and Singapore. And when will this cross-border export will start, and have both sides agreed with the price? Thank you.
Yeah, I think for this, we still evaluate with technical Minister of Energy. Hopefully during the leaders retreat, we can finalize the implementation of the MOU that has been signed last year. No, building the facility, it took at least 1 to 1.5 years to implement. Silakan terakhir, Mbak.
My name is Elisa from the Business Times. A question about, given the recent volatility of Indonesian financial market, how do Singapore see Indonesians in general about the market attractiveness, and what factors continue to support these bilateral cooperations and investment flow between the two countries? Thank you.
Thank you. As I mentioned just now in my remarks, I think Singapore businessmen continue to have strong interest in Indonesia. I think we can still continue to see investments flowing into Indonesia. I think in the long term, Indonesia's fundamentals remain very strong, very, very attractive as a place where you have a lot of resources, a lot of manpower, you have a lot of opportunities. But of course, from time to time, Indonesia and many other countries will face headwinds as economic situation changes. So I think if you are able to steer these challenges together, find ways to work together and collaborate together, I think the future continue to be very promising. Particularly if you look at ASEAN as a whole region, ASEAN will continue to be a center of growth for many more years to come. And I think Singapore and Indonesia have been working very closely together to push ahead with the ASEAN agenda. I think you may be aware that we have just completed negotiation on the DIFA, Digital Economy Framework Agreement. This is another area where it has a lot of promises, particularly with the recent boom in the AI and digital economy. I think this is one area that I think Singapore and Indonesia will be working together to see what is the next step. Once the agreement is being signed, hopefully by end of this year, there's a plan. And then if we are able to sign it this year, then next year it will come into force. Beyond that, then Indonesia and Singapore will work together with other ASEAN member states to see what are the opportunities in the digital economy that we can push ahead under this framework agreement. At the same time, we are also discussing whether we can explore similar agreement on the green economy side. Green economy is another area of tremendous growth and opportunity. I think just now there was a question on the green electrons. I think that's one area. There's also other green solutions that we are looking forward to, whether it's a green financing, whether it's carbon credit trading. There are many opportunities for growth. And this is an area that where Indonesia and Singapore can work together for mutual benefit as well as the benefit of whole of ASEAN.
Ya, terima kasih.
Dengan adanya kerjasama ini, pembicaraan ini kira-kira akan ada penambahan investasi berapa dari Singapura ke Indonesia dan peluang pembukaan lahan?
Ya, tentu Singapura selalu menjadi negara investasi pertama di Indonesia dan tahun kemarin sekitar dalam 17 billion dalam 5 tahun. Kemudian tentunya mempekerjakan sekitar 800 ribu dalam proyek-proyek yang diinvest dari 17 billion. Nah tentu Indonesia terus menjaga stabilitas ekonomi dan memperkuat dari sektor eksternal dan juga untuk mendorong daya tarik investasi dan ekspor kita masih terus positif. Dan bilateral Indonesia dan Singapura dalam 6 working group selalu menyelesaikan persoalan-persoalan yang harus kita selesaikan terkait dengan memberikan daya saing investasi yang baik dan tentu kerjasama yang sudah berlangsung secara baik antar dua negara ini menjadi salah satu fondasi juga yang membuat ASEAN selalu menjadi investasi yang menarik dalam ketidakpastian global. Termasuk prediksi dari berbagai lembaga pertumbuhan di ASEAN sekitar 4% dan Indonesia menjadi salah satu juga yang mampu mencapai mempertahankan 5,61 di Q1, terus kita terus menjaga agar fundamental kedua negara kerjasama akan terus meningkat dan kehadiran DPM GAN ini juga menunjukkan komitmen bersama antara Indonesia dan Singapura. Demikian, terima kasih.
Thank you.
Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Please.